Welcome back to more ReZero Arc 4. Links in the description if you need a reminder of what's going on right now. Quick recap. Subaru has made a bet with Roswell that he is going to save everyone on this loop. Puck has ended his contract with Amelia so that she can remember her past. And now we're going to see the consequences of those decisions. Amelia fell unconscious. Yeah, the spirit user's spirit left her. If it drives her so nuts that she misses the trial, what good is she to us? Do not say that. This is a matter of the heart, so it makes me sad for her. Incidentally, about young Sue. The dude who's covered in miasma? Indeed. I do know what I said before, but he does not appear to have any connection with the witch. Huh, I don't know about that. Shima is apparently the one looking into whether Subaru is connected to the witch. It makes sense that that's the reason why they attacked him in the forest during that loop. And according to the light novel, she is actually the one that senses the miasma, not Garfiel. I understand them thinking that he might be in the cult, but I have no idea how they ruled him out. She doesn't mention anything in any versions, so I have no idea. Garfield doesn't really believe her anyway, so doesn't really change anything about his Subaru's overall problems. In the light novel, Garfield leaves the house and he runs into Ram, who is just out in the forest at night for some reason. It seems like she's looking for something, but there's not a whole lot of details at the moment. Because of his talk with Shima, Garfield is still thinking about the trial. And to him, the trial shows regrets. And regrets can't be fixed. So he thinks that the trial can't be beat. While thinking about that, he asks Ram if she has any regrets. And she says that she regrets coming out here and getting her shoes dirty. Garfield concludes that she doesn't have any real regrets and that she is the type of person who could actually beat the trial. And this is part of the reason that he likes her. He sees her as someone who has too much inner strength to have regrets. Neither of these two conversations happen in the web novel, and the order of events are just all over the place. I'll talk about it more in a bit. Amelia, are you okay? I'm sure I will be. I want to believe that I'll be just fine by morning. If there's anything I can do, well, I don't have much to offer, but whatever I have is yours. Hold my hand. Will you stay here until morning? If you do, I think I can. I'm sorry. If this is what you want, that's easy. Once tomorrow comes, you'll be fine. I believe in you. Amelia falls asleep, only to have another nightmare. Amelia, I'm so sorry. All of the people who told you that kind lie, that they wanted to protect you. Please don't hate them. Amelia, I love you so much. She wakes up in her room, tears running down her face, with no one else around. Mother Fortuna, you liar. Puck, you liar. And Subaru, you liar. We've seen how important honesty is to her, and now that she's getting her memories back, she is starting to realize that she is surrounded by liars. Puck is a pretty obvious one. We saw him break the contract like 2 seconds ago. Subaru said that he would stay, but he didn't, and we'll see why later on. Mother Fortuna, or what is it in Japanese? Fortuna? Or something like that. Okay, look, I am terrible with names. I tend to go with whatever sticks in my head first. So I'm going to end up calling her Fortuna, but the Japanese version is better. That's just what the English version is just going to come up in my head first. But she is the person who Amelia considers her mom. And we'll learn more about her whenever we get Amelia's backstory. So her memories are a bit of a double-edged sword. She has a higher chance of beating the trial now that she can work through her past, but it's also going to cause her to have a breakdown before she can even get to the trial. The next morning, Garfield goes to the village and finds out that Amelia is missing, and the villagers are all looking for her. He does decide to help look, but first he goes off to the cabin in the woods. It's the house that Chima is staying in. And Garfield sees two cups on the table, and these are not the same cups from last night. If you remember, Garfield had a bigger cup. I'll post a picture here just so it's easier to see. And this means that there was probably somebody else here, and that's the way Garfield seems to take it. More importantly, Shima is not there. So Garfield gets worried and runs off to the giant crystal. The light novel switches the order. Not really. It adds a little bit more context. He went to the cabin first and then to town to look for Ryuzu, where he found out Amelia is missing. Then he went back to the cabin so that he could talk to the other Ryuzu clones. And then he went to the giant crystal. The clones didn't see Shima anywhere. She didn't pass by them at all. So Garfield concludes that she went to the one place that's not currently being watched, which is the giant crystal. And this brings up an important point that's not brought up in the anime. Garfield is an apostle of greed. He can control the Ryuzu clones, which means that he can command Shima to come back, regardless of where she's at. He just has to think the command and she has to obey. But he doesn't do that. He sees the four originals as family, and they pretty much raised him. He won't use the command rights on them because of that. The other clones, though, he sees as dolls, so he has no problem commanding them to do stuff. So let's talk about the order in the web novel. It's more in chronological order. Amelia is going to start remembering her past, and we get the full memories as she gets them. We also get a conversation with Ryuzu where we get her past, and that's going to happen before the next scene with Subaru and Otto. The light novel and the anime go with a more storytelling order. We get bits and pieces of Amelia's memories, and then we'll get all of it together with her backstory whenever she takes the trial. There's a huge middle section here that's just moved and not talked about until later on. From details on Amelia going missing, to Subaru and Otto talking to Roswell, to Subaru talking with Ryuzu and getting her backstory. A lot of things happen in the web novel before we ever get to the next scene, but it's moved probably to get to the action a little quicker. So keep in mind that the web novel order is completely different. I will point it out whenever it is actually important to the changes, but more than likely I'm not going to keep bringing it up. Forgive me if I miss something, because it's going to be a bitch to keep up with. With that in mind, in the web novel, Subaru and Otto go talk to Roswell the night before Amelia runs away. Again, we'll talk about that conversation later on when it happens in the anime. But the web novel makes it seem like he is able to get Amelia to overhear the conversation. It doesn't say how. More than likely, it's magic. But he apparently somehow got her to overhear a part of the conversation. A very specific part of the conversation where Subaru admits that he knew what Puck was going to do before he did it. So part of the reason that she runs away is that he broke his promise to stay, and another part of it is that she overhears that he was scheming with Puck this entire time. Garfield knows that Ryuzu is missing, but he doesn't actually know that Amelia is too. Subaru, Otto, and Ram think that it will be a bad idea for that to get out, so they don't tell the villagers. So the villagers aren't looking for anyone, and they just don't tell Garfield about it either. Subaru meets with Garfield at the house that Ryuzu is currently staying in. They have a little bit of a fight, like a yelling match, not like a fist fight or anything. Because Garfield thinks that Subaru is the one that's behind Ryuzu being missing. But he's not super sure, so he doesn't really do anything to Subaru just yet. So Garfield is running around trying to find one person while Subaru and Otto are trying to find both Emilia and Ryuzu. Ram is technically looking, but she's doing it to cover up for Roswell. So Subaru would rather she not find either of them. Garfield gets to the crystal. The door is already open, but no one is around. Footsteps come from behind him. He turns, but no one is there. I'm truly sorry to disappoint you. He looks back and forth and finds Otto alone in the room. Okay, I need to point this out. I think I've said this before. Otto can use magic, but a lot of it is just simple stuff, like making the sound of footsteps. And he literally just cast Minor Illusion just to fuck with Garfield. I'm gonna start saying everything that Otto does in terms of D&D. Also, Garfield thinks that Subaru is behind all of this, so he's not super surprised whenever he gets there and the door is already open. He doesn't remember Otto's name, though. So he is surprised to see him there instead. Like, he's basically like, oh, it's you. In truth, I planned to talk things over with you here. I wanted to talk to you with Ryuzu, that is, Shima, in attendance. But I really wasn't expecting what happened with Emilia. That said, all kinds of conspiratorial plans were already laid out. So, now that the host of the banquet is away, how would you like to play the host instead? Bold of Otto. Subaru did tell him how dangerous Garfield is, so he's not coming into this blind, but starting a fight with him is just crazy. This is probably just the best way to distract Garfield. Amelia hides away in the graveyard. The memories that were sealed are now slowly overwhelming her. Oh, good. I finally found you. Subaru. So, let's talk, Amelia. Like I said before, there's a lot of different events happening all at once in the anime and the light novel. I'm just going to follow the anime, and that means there's going to be some back and forth happening. Where's the old hag? I couldn't foresee what would happen, so I had her go elsewhere. You want to talk things over, but the one you want to talk with ain't even here. That's true. So I guess we'll just say I'm buying time so a certain boy and girl can be alone for a while. Garfield lunges forward and punches Otto in the gut, causing him to fall to his knees. You ain't got what it takes, small fry. Garfield runs out, but stops when he notices the crystal on his neck is gone. He was going to use it to get the clones to look for Subaru. Apparently, he needs it to command them. Otto stole it before he revealed himself. The anime actually does a good job of hiding this. Anytime that you would normally see the necklace, it's like a wide, zoomed out shot. The only time that it actually shows close enough where you would see it is after he punches Otto, and by that point the crystal is gone. Honestly, the light novel makes more sense with this. Garfield keeps the crystal in his pocket, not around his neck. I have no idea how Otto got the crystal off of the necklace in the first place, but I don't know. The pickpocketing just makes more sense. This happens in a different location in the web novel. Garfield is off running around trying to find Ryuzu, and Otto decides he is going to take a couple of carriages and try to escape. Garfield smells people trying to run, so he stops them. And it turns out that the carriages are actually just full of clothes. So that's what he was smelling. And the people aren't actually there. Otto does say that the people are trying to escape just through other routes. He also says that the villagers don't know anything about Sanctuary's secrets, and there's no reason for Garfield to try to hunt them down. And this actually explains a lot. Garfield was worried that info would get leaked if the villagers left, which is the reason why he freaked out during that previous loop, even going on a killing spree. This time he does actually believe Otto that they don't know anything, so he decides to not chase them down and instead to go after Subaru and Amelia. And this is when Otto starts his game of chase. The ground suddenly gives way, and he falls down the pit. Is this what you're looking for? Hundreds of lights appear around Garfield, revealing that the hole is full of bugs. I've never had many human friends, but I made a whole lot of non human friends instead. The entire forest is against you now. Otto is using his blessing to fight Garfield, which feels like it's not going to go well. And we've seen his blessing before. We know that he can basically communicate with anything. Well, maybe not anything. Some intelligence on their part is required. This is what he's been doing this whole time. He's been talking to the animals in the forest to try to get their help. But he's also been talking to the villagers so that they're ready to move at any time. But I would imagine he spent a majority of the time speaking with the creatures in the forest. At the end of the day, though, this is just Garfield fighting off bugs, so it's not going to stop him. But Otto doesn't need to stop him. He just needs to stall him for a little bit. And Otto's got other tricks up his sleeve. The light novel is pretty similar. Otto manages to run away a bit more before the pit scene. The pit is a lot bigger, and Otto brags more about finally being seen as an enemy. In the web novel, Otto and Garfield are out in the forest with the carriages. Otto has some extremely stinky smell in a bottle that he uses to stop Garfield's nose. He then throws a firebomb at him and runs away. So Garfield checks the carriage to see if there's any clues on where to follow Otto, and that's when all the bugs come out. At this point, we get Otto's backstory in every version, and I'm just gonna speed run through this. Well, I'm actually probably not. I'm gonna add in details from the novels, so this is probably gonna end up being longer than the anime. He was born with his blessing, which means that he, from birth, is just hearing constant noise. So much noise that he couldn't even hear his parents, even when they were like right beside him. And that means that he didn't really learn how to talk until much later in life. His parents thought something was wrong with him, so they got doctors to come in and check him, but of course they don't find anything. Blessings are pretty rare, and each blessing is different, so that's not going to be their first thought whenever they're checking on him. Otto grew up as a weirdly quiet and unemotional kid. Eventually, his brother got him into writing, and whenever Otto got decent enough at writing, he eventually wrote a note to his parents, which was kind of along the lines of "Thank you for everything." Otto didn't really understand what was going on, but he understood enough to know that his parents were doing everything that they could in order to help him. So whenever he got the chance, he wanted to thank them for what they were doing. And that is in the anime, but it's kind of a quick scene and it's not really explained well, in my opinion. So that is explained in the novels. Around 8, his powers developed a little bit more, and he was able to separate out individual sounds. And that allowed him to actually start hearing people speak. And this is about the time that he started to learn to speak himself. He's pretty far behind as far as education goes, but he is actually really book smart. And he's able to catch up in a couple of years, except for the social aspect part of it, because he just hasn't had the opportunity to interact with people, which is not a problem that we know anything about today, right? I'll have you know, I interact with people once a week, actually. Whatever, moving on. Around 10, he starts to be able to understand different animals and stuff around him. He tries to prove that he has a blessing to different kids and ends up just calling a fuck ton of beetles to the town, which then gives him a bad reputation and even less people to talk to. About 15, he is accused of going around with some guy's girlfriend. He then uses his power to investigate the truth and then confronts that skank who's been going around with multiple men. Well, her dad turned out to be a high up official, and Otto had to run out of town. The light novel says that they hired assassins, which sounds like a Crazy overreaction to me. So that is when he starts his life as a traveling merchant. Skip a few years, and he is eventually caught by the cult. Kind of ironically, because there are no animals around, they all fled because of the cult. He is then rescued by Ricardo, but Ricardo passes on the praise to Subaru. That is why Otto is so close to Subaru. He thought he was going to die, and in most cases, he would have died. The only reason he didn't is because of Subaru, and now they're friends. And it's not like he wants to die or anything. He is just so grateful to Subaru that he is willing to do anything to help him, including putting his life on the line. Which brings us back to the current events. Uh, Subaru never told Otto to do any of this. Subaru probably told him to stall Garfiel, and then Otto decided to just go all out with it. Blood starts to run out of Otto's nose. Is this what happens when I keep using it? My divine protection is such a hassle. Yeah, his blessing has a rebound effect, so he can't even use it all that much without hurting himself in the process. We've seen another blessing with a restriction like this. I can't think of one that's this heavily restricted when it's not even OP to begin with. The way it's described in the light novel, it's not a problem of his blessing per se. The problem is that he is trying to basically pick out voices in a concert of people screaming. Basically, his brain is trembling. But yeah, the problem is that his brain is being pushed too far. So it's not directly related to the blessing, but it kind of is, in my opinion. I mean, what kind of weak ass blessing doesn't compensate for the no? Okay, whatever. Garfield catches up, but before he can get in close, Otto throws a firestone that explodes, letting him escape. The game of cat and mouse doesn't continue for much longer. After a few more explosions, Garfield is able to brush off the tiny amount of damage and subdue Otto. These magic stones are the fire bombs that I mentioned earlier. In the web novel, Garfield even admits that if these were actual attacks, the first one would have took him out, but they're very clearly not meant to do all that much damage to him. There's no magic stones in the light novel. He actually just uses magic himself, which is so much better. It's not fire magic, he uses earth magic, but I'll talk about that in a second. The web novel has him use both the stones and magic, use his own magic, which is what all the versions should have done. He uses mana from the forest to cast Aldona, which is a huge upheaval, and it hits Garfield hard, except that Garfield has a blessing, because of fucking course he does. It is the divine protection of earth spirits, and we don't get a whole lot of details on this, but I'm gonna go ahead and go through it anyway. While his feet are on the ground, he gets a power up. His healing and his stamina regen are increased. Ram kind of describes it like a an armor of earth is around him, kind of like fucking Gaara from Naruto. I think it just increases his natural regen by a good amount, so that's what I'm gonna go with. He can also manipulate the earth, which is why earth attacks don't do as much to him, because he can kind of cut the damage out. Frankly, you surprised me. I seriously never would have thought you had it in you. You'll have to forgive me for doing something so shitty to a man. Garfield picks up Otto and prepares to knock him out. I think I've done all I could. Ram drops out of the sky, firing a wind spell straight at Garfield. Before it can hit, he moves the earth to block the attack. This isn't magic, this is Garfield's blessing. Not that I didn't know it, but you're so pathetic I couldn't watch. Isn't that a little harsh towards someone who just gave all he had fighting? All you had? In the state you're in? Ugh, I've never seen a maid as well described as the polar opposite of soothing. And this doesn't add anything to the actual story. I just really appreciate good shit talk. Ram does a lot more in the web novel. She is able to get him off of the ground to negate his blessing, and then she lights him up. The end result's kind of the same, though. She points out that Otto failed because he didn't account for Garfield's blessing, the blessing that she didn't tell him about. Hey, Ram, doesn't joining their side mean you're going against what that bastard Roswell wants? I would give my very soul to fulfill my master's fondest desire, but in my own way. This is why I pointed out her conversation with Subaru earlier. I think their conversation caused her to rethink her approach to this entire situation, and now she is siding with them. Garfield thinks that Roswell wants to keep Sanctuary closed, which explains why he has been working with Roswell this whole time. And that's why he says that helping Subaru is going against Roswell. You really think he's worth trusting that much? Well, if we're talking about whether he's worth anything, I suppose he's not. But I look forward to seeing what flower blooms from him. I suppose that's the mood I'm in now. Huh. Frankly, I have no idea what gives you such high hopes for Borosu. He's weak, useless, and so incompetent he can't even make tea right. But, when it's do or die, he has bizarrely good timing. If he believes he sees an opportunity and acts on it, you know that's the only path to victory. She has a lot of trust in him, and it's a big part of it is because Rem is gone. And I'm not going to rehash all of that again. I just wanted to point out that Ram trusts him to some extent because of all of the praise that would be going to Rem is now being redirected to Subaru. Enough. Garfield takes off his shirt and transforms into a huge tiger. Stay back. Ram calmly walks forward. The enraged Garfield swipes at her, but she easily counters. Have you ever once beaten me in a punch-out? She unleashes a flurry of blows to his face, knocking him back. Blood suddenly erupts from her forehead. A reminder that she is basically living with a broken gate. She can't take in any mana, so if she uses it all, then she's forced to use her life as strength. You've gotten stronger, Garf. Now that she is unable to move, he rushes towards her. Otto holds up the crystal and pulls Garfield's attention so that Ram can get away, but now he has to run for his life. With Garfield's back turned, Ram is able to attack with another wind spell. As per usual, the web novel is more graphic. She actually breaks her right hand on Garfield's face. More importantly, we get her thoughts and feelings during the fight after she starts bleeding. And it's kind of like she goes full Gojo, high on cursed energy. She is really enjoying pushing herself in the fight, and she feels like she belongs there. And it is 100% because of her backstory. I'll go over it again just as a reminder. The village that she was born into was trying to summon, create, I don't remember the details on that part. They were trying to get the ultimate Oni, the god of Onis. And that is when they got the twins. Ram is so strong that if she had been born with both of her horns, she probably would have been what they were wanting. She is unironically one of the strongest people in the world when she is able to actually go all out. It really does feel like the web novel wants you to think that that spirit of the Oni god is still within Ram and wants to fight and destroy, but she can't because she's basically been handicapped. That could just be me reading way too much into it, though. The 2v1 basically ends with Otto giving mana to Ram like a fucking spirit bomb. I am full of references today, apparently. She then uses that mana to cast a big wind attack, and then it cuts away. We don't get to see anything past that, so we'll see the results next time. Probably. See ya.